The greatest commentator in Jewish history was a man named Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, but most of us today know him by the acronym Resh Shin Yud, or Rashi. Rashi was the Rosh Yeshiva of his community in Lorraine in France. And not only was he the Rosh Yeshiva, the greatest instructor within the community, he was also a prolific writer and thinker. He wrote sprawling commentaries on the Tanakh, on the Hebrew Bible, as well as 30 Masechtot, 30 tractates or books of Talmud. And just to put that in perspective, reading one page, front and back of Talmud every day, just reading it, takes around 7.5 years. He also wrote hundreds of tshuvot, of halakhic decisions. And in his spare time, he helped raise 3 daughters, and he worked as a winemaker. To say that Rashi was brilliant is a dramatic understatement. And there is no doubt that the Judaism that we know today, the scholarship, the innovation, and the passion for learning so integral to our culture, is thanks in no small part to him. But the greatest gift that Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki ever gave us is one that we often take for granted, and one that even causes some frustration if we don't take the time to slow down and appreciate it. Throughout the Tanakh and the Talmud, and thousands of comments upon comments, where a question of definition, of theological import, or even simple narrative structure exists beyond his understanding, Rashi picks up his quill, dips it in ink, and puts to parchment for all of his students to see, and for all of us to see, those of us who have learned from him after his passing, the words, Eini Yodea, I don't know. The greatest scholar of all time goes out of his way to say to us, I don't know what this means. I don't know what this means. I don't know why it's significant to us. I don't know what it's trying to teach us. I don't know. And for the record, he doesn't have to do this. The history of Torah commentary is pretty consistent with the idea that if Torah is perfect, if Torah is our eternal, central, sacred text, then it's intentional with every word, and therefore with every lack of word, and every seeming inconsistency within the text. Everyone agrees that it would be beyond the scope of any one scholar to find the mashma'ut, the meaning, the significance in every textual curiosity. But Rashi doesn't stick only to those for which he has an answer. He doesn't gloss over the ones that challenge him. Every single one gets the attention that it deserves, even when sometimes that attention is a short and humble declaration of Eini Yodea, I don't know. These are my favorite contributions from Rashi. They are also, I believe, the least understood of all of his commentaries. And quite frankly, they are so foreign to us today in our world and our mindset that they often go unnoticed or intentionally ignored. Because not knowing something in our day and age is, for all intents and purposes, akin to stitching a scarlet letter onto our clothing. Maybe a capital I for ignorant, or even worse, in 2021, somehow this is worse, a U for undecided. In our time, we are expected not just to have an opinion, but to have one so firmly established that no conversation, no data, no alternative interpretation should be able to budge it. All of us are experts on everything. You name it. You give us a topic and we'll give you an opinion on it. And if we don't have one that's ready yet, we'll watch a couple videos on YouTube or read a Facebook post. And then within minutes, we too are credible sources of information, analysis, and criticism. And my friends, the subjects in which we are experts we should all have honorary degrees. Because in addition to whatever subject we studied in school, every single one of us also seems to hold a PhD in economics, foreign policy, class structure, racism, American history, the electoral process, and epidemiology. Mazel tov, everyone. Mazel tov. And because we have billions of experts on every topic imaginable, all of those pesky societal and environmental problems like hunger, poverty, climate change, and regional political instability have finally been solved, right? But kidding aside, this really is a moment for us. This is a moment for us. We are living in an age when limitless information is at our fingertips. With the click of a button, we can sit in the lecture halls of Harvard and Yale. With the advancements of video conferencing services, we can interact with some of the most brilliant minds of our time, no matter where we or they are in the world. And with an online library membership, there is literally no public book or article in print that isn't available and accessible for us to read. The point of the matter is, there is so much for us to learn, for us to digest, for us to understand, and yet, for many of us, our self-accredited expertise comes not from hours of dedicated learning, but from kishkas, from our gut emotions. On which topics are we experts? On the ones that make us the angriest, on the ones that scare us the most, which is so fundamentally anti-Rashi and likewise so fundamentally contrary to who we are as Jews. Judaism, in its essence, is a celebration of what we don't know. And wearing that humility like a badge of honor. While Rashi is the paragon of illustrating this point, we have different allusions to it throughout our tradition. When we complete a Masechet of Talmud, we say a prayer called the Hadran, which is essentially asking God to allow us to stay alive long enough that we may return to the Masechet's text and study that same text again. Because there is no way we could have even come close to unpacking all of the wisdom and beauty there within. On Pesach, we designate an entire section of the Seder to the asking of questions. And rather than having a set answer, we have Haggadot upon Haggadot upon Haggadot, offering different perspectives based on thousands of different themes and ideas. And this one's my favorite. We even have a blessing introduced in Masechet Brachot for when we see a giant gathering of people. According to the Talmud, this is 600,000 or more people gathered together. A blessing, the sages tell us, that is meant to remind us that in a mass of 600,000 people, there are 600,000 different minds, just as there are 600,000 different faces. And the greatest part is that the blessing is Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, Chacham harazim. Blessed are you, Hashem, our God, ruler of the universe, knower of secrets. I love that. Knower of secrets. When we approach life with curiosity rather than hubris, we open ourselves up to the blessings that can only come from wonder. When it comes to our relationships with others, wonder is what allows us to get close to one another, to feel connected to one another, and to share in compassion, empathy, and love with one another. It is wonder that breaks down the impersonal exterior labels behind which we hide ourselves out of fear, and that fear that comes with personal vulnerability. It allows us to transcend social constructions and see the other in relation to ourselves. Not I and it, not I and them, but I and you. When we encounter one another with wonder, we see the soul, not the Facebook posts the yard signs, or the bumper stickers. Peace, respect, and true friendship can only come from the willingness to learn someone else. That's scary to do, but how beautiful and how important it is for us to do it. And within our most intimate of relationships, it is wonder that sustains our hearts and guides our communication. The most beautiful of relationships are those that continue to learn new things about the other throughout a lifetime. Because people, in all of their beauty and all of their complexity, change. They grow, and they respond to a world that is in constant motion and evolution. Wonder is what allows us to give the ones we love the benefit of the doubt, to approach arguments, disagreements, and moments of intense emotion not with predetermined ideas of what is acceptable or quote-unquote normal, but with a deeper understanding that when a response seems out of character, that there may be a world of information going on within that deserves and that desperately needs to be processed. That's what love is. Responding to the people we care about the most with an unwavering curiosity and a drive to know as much about them in every single moment as we possibly can. And when it comes to our spiritual lives, what we don't know shouldn't be a stumbling block. Quite the opposite. It should be magic. Not because it keeps us from pain or from burden, but because it creates the potential for profundity in every moment. If we know everything about Jewish ritual, if we know everything about Akedat Yitzchak, our Torah portion this morning, if we know everything about the liturgy that we use during these days of awe, then what incentive do we have to pray, to study, to light candles, to say Kiddush, or to hear the blast of the shofar? But if we come before the divine in supplication, then what we get in return should never fail to surprise us. And it is that surprise, it is the surprise that we call prayer. If we open our hearts and our minds when we light our Shabbat or Yom Tov candles, when we bless our cup of wine, or when we put that ancient garment called a talit over our heads and our shoulders, then that openness has the potential to invite in meaning, significance, and deep, almost cosmic power beyond all expectation. And if we open and expand our sense of holiness and spirituality beyond our set times and spaces, then we welcome God into everyday moments. And then all of a sudden, nothing is mundane. And the magic that surrounds us at all times becomes clearer, brighter, and awe-inspiring. That is the gift that we have been given with Rashi's commentary, and with our tradition, Begadol, in general. And it is a gift that is begging for us to use it, to try it on, to apply it, because while the world around us preaches individual opinion as sacrosanct and indisputable, Judaism knows and understands that that tactic, that approach to life, is not an expression of strength and courage. It's a defense mechanism, an act of hiding from the things that scare us most. And nothing is more dangerous or detrimental to our relationships, our society, and our values. Ben Zoma Omer, Ezehu Chacham, Halomed Mikol Adam. The great sage Ben Zoma taught, who is considered wise? The answer, the one who learns from every individual. If I may be so bold as to expound on one of our great sages' teachings, I'd like to adjust the statement just a little bit. Who is considered wise? The one who learns from every individual, from every situation, from every moment, whose curiosity opens their heart and their mind. Who is considered wise? The one who lives in wonder. How long will this pandemic keep us physically distant from one another? When will the rifts and the divisions in our society heal? And how can they heal? When will we finally learn to love one another and build our world from that love? Eini yodea. I don't know. I don't know. But this morning, other things I don't know, other things I don't fully understand, took my breath away. I watched the sun come up, painted in brilliant reds, yellows, and oranges. I saw my son thank his mama for giving him breakfast. And I sang and I prayed with my synagogue family and with new friends whose very presence made our prayer different, stronger, more sincere, and more magical. Those wonders, those things that I don't know, bring tears to my eyes. And not those alone. There is so much that I don't know. So many moments of Eini yodea. And this morning, it is those moments that I am the most thankful for. This morning, I don't ask to know. I don't ask for strength, for mazel, for parnasa, or haslacha. I make one request to the one who spoke and the world came into being. Hineni, bati la'amod u'lichtchanen lefanecha. Here I am. Here we are, standing before you in supplication, asking for one thing, and for one thing only. We ask for wonder. We ask for wonder. I'll invite you to please rise as we